something you want to say to an artist that's on the come up now, what would you tell them?
If you quit, you're a fucking bitch.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. You can support by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. And definitely go do that because it helps us grow and I can have more incredible guests on the podcast. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover DistroKid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, DistroKid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust DistroKid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and so many others. Having personally used DistroKid since 2018, I can attest to their superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to easily send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the DistroKid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with two-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, and withdraw funds from your DistroKid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications, effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional-grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The DistroKid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends. Today, I'm joined by a very good friend of mine, an incredible artist, incredible director.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I know you direct your own videos too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Justin Clancy, welcome to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast.
The podcast that almost didn't fucking happen.
Dude, we could talk about it quickly. Guys,
It's the alley-oop.
I've never canceled a podcast ever and still haven't. Thankfully, that's why we're here. But on the way here, we have like flash flood warnings that are happening now in Connecticut. So I took pictures so that I could throw them in the pod. I got to the end of a road, closed off, another road, closed off. And then I started listening to GPS. GPS was taking me in circles. And then I kept going back to this road, Berkshire Road, that was cut. Anyways, I got here. On my final stretch here, it was all flooded in water.
Brave.
Yeah.
Brave through it.
Yeah. But I don't want to talk about this adventure. But, you know, it brings me to a good point, Justin. What do you do on tough days, dude? When you feel like everything's going against you, dude?
I smoke so many cigarettes, bro. On tough days, honestly, bro, I've been really into Words with Friends. So, like, I'll just smash randos on Words with Friends. And then, I'm not, like, a big video game guy, but I play, like, 2K. But like old 2K, and I'll just like play the fucking wackest team in the whole entire game, and I'll just fucking smoke them. I'm talking by like 100+ points, and I'll feel real good about that. So
I probably could use some Words with Friends today. I don't think I'm going to go down the cigarette route. I haven't started. You think it could work for me?
I'll play. It's a good. Honestly, it's a good hobby if you want to take it up, cigarette smoking. But I'll play you in Words with Friends, fucking whenever.
I'm down. We could probably get one in tonight.
I love a good Words with Friends, bro.
But I want to talk to you about a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
You've never worked at a radio station, right?
No.
Why'd you tell Atmosphere that you did, though?
Oh, yeah. This is a good one, actually. So I want to say when I was like, maybe 18, 19, really young, I saw that like Atmosphere was coming to play the House of Blues in Boston. And growing up, I was like an Atmosphere super fan, right? And I had gotten the opportunity to be part of like a street team to promote the show for the House of Blues. And I guess like part of it was like, you know, if you pass out these flyers, then you will be able to get like VIP seating at the show, right? So they put me on an email chain for like the marketing team of the show, and I go down the email chain, and then there's Slug's email, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I was like, I'll just email him, right? So I hit him up, and at the time, my friend Stiz Grimy worked at WAAF, So I was like, I'll just reach out because like I know they just dropped an album and I know that my friend works at a radio station. So let me see if I can try and parlay. So I reached out and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm emailing you on behalf of WAAF or what, some fucking bullshit. I recently, when me and Slug put that song out,
I want to talk to you about that too. Yeah,
I dug up that email and sent it to him, and I was like, holy shit, dude, like how crazy is this? But yeah, so I bullshitted my way into having a conversation with him and then getting backstage and meeting him along with Dart Adams, who brought me for my birthday.
Yeah, well, that's got to be a crazy full circle moment at, you know, going from that, you know, cold email to having a record with him.
Yeah, he still thinks I'm equally as fucking weird, though. I know it, dude. He thinks I'm a weirdo for sure.
Yeah, like what was his reaction to finding out that like you weren't really in with the radio station like that?
He didn't find out until like recent.
You're like, yo, thanks for that verse. I got this story for you.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it came up in conversation because like we had stayed in touch since. Like for several years, like I would just email him and we'd talk and like chat it up over the years and stuff. And it wasn't until like maybe 2 years ago that he like started like really supporting my music and like fucking with what I was putting out there.
Yeah, I think I was actually with you either when you got the news or got the verse because it was the Superstar video.
Yes, yeah. While we were on set for Superstar, he sent me the verse. And it was so crazy, like, because it happened so organically. I had this record I was sitting on and it was just the idea. So the song that you hear now is like extremely fleshed out. Prior to that, it was just guitar and piano. And I played like all the guitar and all the piano on that song, right? So before it was just my voice, guitar, and piano. And I sent it to him and I was like, hey, kind of a long shot, but like, do you fuck with this? Like, what do you think of this? And then he like sent me back the verse. Like, I was like, what the like, this is insane.
How quick was it?
I think it was like 2 or 3 days, dude.
I love efficiency.
Yeah,
dog.
he's fast. He's fast. And he was like, yo, let me know if like you want me to change anything. And like he was like complimenting my writing and like saying I was like how good of a writer I am, which was mind-blowing to me because he's probably one of my favorite writers of all time. You know what I mean? Like his pen is just incredible in a sense of being a true like artist writer. Like the things he said, they permeated with me so deeply. You know what I mean? So him saying that I was an incredible writer was just like, holy fucking shit, you know?
Yeah, and the thing is, one thing I know because, you know, you listen to the music you make today and it's very like big vocal, like pop, like, but I know that you have a huge love for hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that you've met Prodigy. I know that you've met DJ Premier.
Yeah.
How did that come to be? How did both of those happen?
So I came up like in the Boston underground hip hop scene, right? So a lot of people don't know this, but like that was my shit. Before I sang, before I played any instruments or whatever, I was an underground rapper, fully immersed in like the East Coast underground scene. I was an intern for Static Selecta's marketing sect, like the marketing part of Show Off Records, right? So ultimately what that entailed was like doing guerrilla marketing, working various like campaigns. And this was, I dropped out of high school and I just went right to intern, which like at the time I was like, this is sick. But now looking back, I'm like, you know, interning is usually for college credits. But I learned more interning there than I did in high school. You know what I mean? At least about the stuff that I wanted to do.
Yeah, what's something that you learned there?
How to navigate the no's. It was that coupled with doing door-to-door sales when I was a kid. Because a lot of it is like the cold call. A lot of it is the approach. A lot of it is like knowing how to read people, knowing how to walk into a room and navigate that room, you know? Because a lot of what I did when it came to like the marketing stuff for Show Off was, you know, working records and like passing out CDs and like making sure that like, you know, I am representing whatever client that I am working right now. And one of like the first clients that I had was Joyner Lucas.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, which was insane. He like put out the song with Busy Signal. And my job was to pass out like samples, like CD samples, and like I would wait outside in the cold at like the House of Blues, you know what I mean, and wait for like people to leave the G-Eazy show. I'll never forget, like I drove like my shitty little car down to Lansdowne Street in Boston, and I had to double park it and wait for the let out. And it was mid-December. I couldn't feel my fingers. And I would just hop out and I'd just pass out the CD and pass out the CD. And all I could think about the whole time was like, this should be my shit, you know? This should be me. But I was learning so that when it came time to do that, I would be prepared.
Yeah.
But then, you know, digital marketing took over. So
yeah, but I mean, there's still lessons that you probably learn that still apply. Even just like how you carry yourself in the industry, I think is like a super important thing. Cause like, and I think, you know, even just talking about like the cold call stuff, you know, that applies to what you did with Atmosphere too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But,
you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
So when did you start getting into like, cause you were a rapper, when did you start really getting into hip hop? Like in making your own music per se?
The first time I wrote a rap, I was like 8 or 9 years old. So I've been doing the rap shit forever.
You're good, dude.
All right, I just had to block that. Yeah, I've been doing the rap shit forever, dude. Like that's always been like my favorite thing. But yeah, and like another part of like the marketing was like going to all these shows, and like part of going to the shows was meeting the artists because I had backstage access every single time. So I'd be able to like get to like meet the Prodigies and the DJ Premiers and the Sean Prices and you know what I mean? And
the Ghost Faces, dude.
Yeah, and the Ghostface and Raekwon and like all those like fucking legendary acts, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so at what point do you make the leap to move to LA?
Oh God, that was way later down the line. You know, I was sold the dream. And
happens to all of us at one point, dude. Or
yeah,
like,
man.
it's at least pitched on it.
It was important that happened to me, though. It taught me a lesson in humility, and eating the humble pie. And I came to the realization that there is no cheat code. I mean, unless you're a nepo baby, you know what I mean. But like, in terms of this game, man, like the only people that can save you are yourself. Your job is to create believers. You know. There is nobody that can make believers other than you and the product that you put in front of them, you know? And I put my trust in something that didn't necessarily pan out. But it made me stronger in a sense of I then was more resilient after, and I knew how to pivot. You know what I mean?
I do know exactly what you mean. And listen, this industry, you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of hate. Do you mind if I bring up somebody who didn't necessarily believe in you and something that you learned from it?
Yeah.
Dave Portnoy.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Barstool. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I was publicly blasted by Barstool Sports in like 2011 when I was just a baby, dude. It was insane. I put out a video of me rapping in my backyard with a couple of my friends. And next thing I know, I wake up one morning, I go to school, and everyone's like, oh, yo, I saw you on Barstool. And I didn't even know what the fuck Barstool was because it was in its infancy. And I look, it was actually like Dave Portnoy himself that wrote the fucking article. And I looked, and it is just like running up like crazy. Like it got like 50,000 views in a day. You know, which like is a lot.
And back then, that's like...
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I was a fucking...
Even today, that's a lot, but back then, that's even harder, dude.
Bro, I was like 14. I was like, what the fuck? I'm getting actual death threats from like adult men. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at this and I'm like, damn. I'm like, this is kind of sick. Like, it only made me want to go harder to prove to them. Because like, I've been putting music out on the internet and like... making mixtapes and slinging them out of my backpack since I was like 13, 14, dude. I've been doing this for fucking ever. So like that being said, it was Barstool, yeah, but then you'd go to like Tumblr and whitepeoplerappingpoorly.com and like I was on those too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just ate it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, but I think moments like that are moments that really do make you resilient and show you that like it shows you if you're going to continue or not, because a lot of people would have easily put down the pen there and stopped. But one thing that I like about you, Clancy, is that you made a bold play of like completely rebranding.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course, man.
And like what inspired the whole rebrand, and even just like finding yourself as an artist as well.
Right. I mean, which rebrand?
I'm going for like the Clancy that we know today.
I mean, because there were two major rebrands.
Well, let's talk about them both.
It was when I began to sing, and then the second rebrand was when I came back from LA and I got skinny and shaved off my weird beard.
Let's talk about both, because I think, you know, both are important.
So the first one was when I switched lanes and decided I wanted to make something a little more unique and tailored to me and the music that I liked. So for so long, I was so afraid of not being accepted for what I enjoyed or what I thought that I was capable of doing, because I wanted to be like, you know, I wanted to be welcome into the circle of like, you know, the rappers. Like I wanted like Sean Price to tell me I had bars instead of being mean to me. But like that's just that was just Sean P. Rest in peace. He was just, you know, he shit on me. It was fucking hilarious. But like, you know what I mean? Like I wanted like to be told that like I could spit by like real spitters, like, and be welcomed into that. And like for so long, and I was like, yo, like I like, does the world need another white rapper? You know what I mean? I like had a real conversation with myself, and I'm like, yo, like I can do so much more than this, right? Like I didn't come this far to just come this far. Because I'm listening to my own music at this point, and I'm like, yeah, this shit's kind of trash. Like, and I was like, yo, I either gotta shit or get off the pot, bro. Like, I need to either stop doing music and figure something else the fuck out, or I need to figure out like who I really am, dig deep, and get vulnerable and like put it out there. And you know, luckily I did the latter and it worked.
How'd you do that, dude?
I couldn't tell you. I have this saying, and it's like whatever comes up comes out. And one day I went to the studio, and I had dabbled in like some more melodic stuff, you know. But one day I showed up at the studio, and it was when I first started working with Knox, right? And you know, Knox and I have known each other since I was. We're going on over a decade now. He's one of the only people that have seen me not sober, which is wild. At least that are around us today. So one day I get up with Knox and I record this song, and I thought it was so fucking dope, right? And you know, for some reason I did like this weird thing where I just wanted to sound like Vinny Paz. I don't know what I was doing, bro. And I was like, yeah, so what do you think, bro? And he's like, honestly? I was like, yeah. He's like,
Knox is very good for being honest.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I know about him.
He's like, I don't fucking like it. I was like, what? You don't like it? He was like, I'll tell you what, like come back and like let's just make a song. He was like, let's just make something from scratch and try it again. And I was like, oh fuck, okay. So I show up one day, and he starts making a little beat, and I start like, you know, kind of doing like a singing along with it type thing. And he was like, oh, that's dope, whatever you're doing. And I'm like, yeah. I was thinking about like putting like a girl, like a female vocalist on it. And he was like, no, why don't you try it? You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, fuck it, why not, right? And that's when we made TV Dinner. You know, I've been trying to find a way to ease my mind, going back and forth, driving me crazy. Like that was all made in one spot. Like in one day, one sitting, written, recorded, mixed, and then the file got deleted.
That's crazy.
So it couldn't be altered. It couldn't be changed, because midway through the session, I was like, I don't know, maybe we should try something else. Maybe we should get rid of this. And he's like, shut the fuck up. Just let this happen. And after that, dude, I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like, one thing I want to bring up, too, because I've only known you as singing Clancy. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
never knew rapper Clancy. And I saw a video recently that was interesting where like this dude shaving his head and he's like, you know, all your friends are going to be shocked at the first time they see your head shaved and then they're going to get used to it. But then everybody you meet going forward is only going to know you as that. You know what I mean? So like the second you decide to rebrand, like anybody who knew you before, they might know you as rap, but that's what I'm saying. Like when you decide to make that change, like it might have felt more drastic to you, but then everyone you meet going forward only knows you as how you present yourself.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and that wasn't, I was more afraid of just being stagnant and not being true to myself anymore.
Yeah. And you're an incredible singer, dude. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, if anyone's listening and they're not familiar with Justin's music, press pause on this, go listen to music, come back and resume right here. Because like, your music is incredible. You make like this, it's almost like anthemic. That's how I describe it. And cinematic.
Yeah.
And like, let's even lean into cinematic because you direct a lot of your videos too. And one of the craziest videos that I've seen from you too is the one where you're going down the street on the horse, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about that, dude?
Yeah, of course. So like, a lot of my process when it comes to directing is the same, which is like, I'll be in the studio, I'll be making a song, and I'll be like, yo, this sounds like XYZ. So by the time the song is being finished, I'm finishing the treatment in my head, you know, at least for like some records. And with Run From the Devil, I mean, it sounds like a fucking horse galloping, dude. Like, there's no way you can't hear that song and not think of a fucking horse. Like, it just... There's no way you can't think of a horse when you hear it. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just like that kind of special, but
yeah, but there's also another, like, I remember when you were rolling that out too, like the teaser shot was like you with a cross, I think, and it was like walking, like, and it looked like in a bit, I had no idea where you were walking.
Yeah.
Later on, I realized it was like snow, right?
Yeah.
But from that first shot, dude, like, it just looked like you were walking like, in this
big empty
void.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, man, it was really well thought out. You know, and that video was like still one of my favorite things I've ever created.
You guys shut down a street for that.
Yeah, I shut down a whole entire street in downtown Peabody, where I'm from.
That's crazy, dude. How does it feel to be able to do that and, you know, even get the support? Because I'm sure in certain towns you try to do that, they'd be like, hell no.
Oh, dude, they thought I was insane. They thought I was insane because when I first started, just the treatment alone, I was like, okay, how the fuck am I gonna do this? I'm like, this is insane. Like, I want a horse to ride down the street. And I had like that specific shot in mind where it's kind of like in front of the horse, you know what I mean? And I was like, yo, let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
I went on Facebook and I was like, yo, where can I get a horse for a video? I'm fucking terrified of horses. I was terrified of horses. But then, like, randomly I got plugged into, like, there's this whole underground community of, it's called Massachusetts Horse People. And I got put on their fucking Facebook page with, like, thousands of people, their private page. And everyone was like, oh, dude, I'd love for you to meet my horse. And I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
So you went from having no options to unlimited horse options.
Literally, yes. So then I went from there and I'm like, all right, let me see what I can do with the city of Peabody, right? So I go and I start calling and I'm like, listen, this is going to sound insane. But like, this is what I do. This is what I want.
I already got the horse.
Yes. I was like, how can I make this happen? And I sent out an email and I'll never forget, like I got an email back like from the mayor's office and they're like, basically like, this is fucking insane, right? They're like, we don't know how people are going to respond to somebody riding a horse down Main Street. But we pivoted and I settled for a side street. And I had to do like one of the least punk rock things I've ever done in my life, which was literally fund the police. Because part of using that street or using any public street, you have to pay for police detail to shut down the street.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Which was like a super bummer. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. And, you know, surely we made it happen somehow.
Yeah.
You know, it was, I don't know, it all kind of fell in place. It wasn't easy, but it was so worth it. I mean, it was easier than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
On paper, that just sounds so grandiose and so ridiculous, especially for someone who's poor. So,
but I think this all goes back to some of the cold call kind of mentality, dude, where it's like you're willing to even reach out and make it happen, dude. Another thing I want to bring up, I want to stay on music videos for a little bit, but I'll talk about the song you have with Webby. Well, I know you got more than one, but I want to talk about Lord Knows because I just started, actually, I'm on season 5 of The Sopranos now. You know what I mean? So I finally saw the scene in which that music video was referenced. So I thought that was just like cool. And, you know, what was the process of doing that one? I know you guys did that with Frankie, right?
Cold.
It looked cold. But so was the Sopranos scene, it seemed, too.
No, bro, this was different. This video, it was literally the coldest day of the year. And with wind chill, it had to have been like negative 10, 20 degrees, right? And I made the conscious decision for some reason to wear nothing but a turtleneck. So my character was like the turtleneck guy, right? And that turtleneck was like a fucking paper towel on me, bro. So I was fucked. Like I wanted to look good in like the video, you know what I mean? So you
prioritized the look over comfort?
Yeah, the look over functionality, man. I fucking killed myself for that. It was brutal, man. And it was just relentless outside all day. I mean, ask Frankie about it. It was awful. But it was really cool to like recreate that and like you know, that's when Webby and I like really first linked up and he realized I was fucking weird like him, so it was cool.
Yeah, dude. I want to talk to you about shows. I'm going to hop to like some touring later, but I want to bring it a little bit further back. Let's talk Vans Warped Tour, dude.
Oh, yeah. Vans Warped Tour days.
Let's talk about it. How did that come to be? What were you doing? Like, what was the grind behind that, dude?
Man, it was my first tour ever. And I paid somebody for it. I paid a friend of mine to get me on the Transformer stage, which was like the smallest stage. Like, so much so that it wasn't a stage. It was just like a tent on the concourse.
Yeah.
So if, you know, part of it was you had to get people to come to your set. So you'd have to go out with like a poster or something, like I'm playing here at this time, and like introduce yourself and be like, yo, come and see me at this tent. Come hang out, you know what I mean? There was no playback monitors. There was just straight PA going out, man. And there were no waters at the tent. And it was just really like hardcore experience because it was every single day like hitting the pavement, literally, because they were all outside. So you'd have to get there at 9 in the morning so that you got the best slot. You'd have to help them set up, like really get in with them, be nice. And then you weren't leaving there until like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And then the next city is like, could be anywhere from like 6 to 10 hour drive away. And then you go, you sleep for a little bit, wake up, boom, load in at 9 a.m. all over again, right? And you know, I was just trying to get it, man. Like I was using it to my advantage, and like I was walking around with the backpack, and like I had just put out my first album. So my pitch to people was, buy this album off me. When you get home and listen to it, if you don't like it, I'll Venmo you back the money.
That's actually a fair pitch, dude.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of companies do that. They'll like try it for 7 days free or get your money back, you know? But no, it's a good method too. And I feel like no one hit you back, right?
No, dude, no. It was a good experience. And to be able to say that, like, I played the very last show at the very last Warped Tour.
Oh, Warped Tour is a crazy thing. For people that don't listen to, like, just their operation is so different compared to normal touring, dude. And to me, if you make it through Warped Tour, like, that'll make or break you, dude, 100%.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
It's different. It's different.
So if you survived, like, Warped Tour, I think you'll be good on, you know, a ton of other things going forward, dude. You know what I want to talk to you, too, about?
Hit me.
South by Southwest.
Which one?
Which one do you have the better story at? Whichever one you have the best story at, dude.
I played a couple South Bys. I mean, I was at the South by Southwest where he used to be Baby Jesus or something like that. And he was walking around.
For the Rebrand, dude.
Yeah, and he was walking around in a diaper.
That's
that
crazy.
was wild. Man, I played a couple different South Bys. But one of them was like, I did a show at a bar. It wasn't an official South by show. It was like a showcase, and it was me and Jack Harlow for like 5 people.
That's yeah. I feel like I hear about the Jack Harlow and a couple people every time. So to hear some like, you know, you were there kind of thing.
I was there. I saw it, dude.
Validate that.
Yeah, I was there, man. He was very nice too. He was very nice.
And this is probably pre where he's at now.
Dude, yeah.
Do you remember what you guys talked about? If you guys spoke,
I was like, "Oh, this fucking sucks, dude." He was nice though. He was like he was just like a sweet nerdy kid, man. Like,
it's always good to hear that too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring another random project that I know you worked on too. You worked on the Scoob soundtrack for the Token song, right?
Oh yeah, I did.
How did that come to be?
I mean, that's the homie. I've known Toke since we're going on over a decade now.
Yeah.
That's the homie, man. And I think at the time I was living in LA, and like he'd come out and visit, and like we'd always link up and like go on these long ass car rides. You know what I mean? Like we would just kick it, drive around the city. He'd show me his music, I'd show him mine, and then we'd listen to like other music and just like really shoot the shit, you know. And he was showing me a demo for this song, and I was like, yo, the hook should, you know, like, oh, you should do X, Y, and Z with the hook, and this would sound dope if you went like this. And he really dug the idea, and he was like, yo, send me a voice memo with that. So I sent him the voice memo. He took my advice, and it landed on the Scooby-Doo soundtrack. So that was really fucking cool.
It's really cool, dude.
Yeah, super organic.
Yeah, I grew up watching Scooby-Doo, so like, if anything like that happened, I'd be fucking losing my mind.
Yeah,
dude.
it was really tight, man. It was a good thing because I needed something like that at the time.
It seems like there's a good sense of community up in Massachusetts where you're at, because I feel like all you guys know each other, all you guys like show love to each other and support each other. You know, was that one of the decisions for moving back?
In part, yeah, in part. I mean,
what was the biggest thing?
I was sort of at a crossroads within my career. You know what I mean? And I needed to go back home and like really like reset, you know, and like re-establish who I am, because I kind of lost myself in the shuffle. So, yeah. But the community out here is a big part of it too, you know? Like you said, everybody is always showing each other love, and like it's just so, the camaraderie is fantastic. And I think it's because our predecessors, it wasn't like that. You know, like a lot of people in the Boston community, in the Boston hip hop community, wherever, the previous generation, it was not all love. You know what I mean? And I think coming up, a lot of us saw that, and we were like, yo, that's kind of like toxic, and it's not benefiting anybody. Nobody's getting paid from that. You know what I mean? Nobody's getting opportunity from that. So slowly but surely, I feel as though, you know, the Boston music scene is getting closer and closer with one another.
What was the moment in LA? Because environment is so important, especially like as a creative, I think. But like, what was the moment in LA where you're like, yo, I just got to get out? Like, what did you have a moment where you just like realized and you're just like, I just got to get out of here?
Yeah.
Well, what did that look like, dude?
That's a good question. I got invited to this writing session in Santa Monica. For somebody who like couldn't write their own music, couldn't play their own music, could barely even sing their own music. They just were seen as an influencer, right? It was one of those like, yo, music seems like a cool thing to add to my brand identity as a hobbyist, you know? And I'm a purist, you know what I mean? I take this shit serious. And if this is just a hobby to you, like, get the fuck out of my way. Never mind, like, I'm adding to it. But of course, like, where I was at in my career, and like, you know, I had to go and get these connections, and like, so I show up and we're just writing, and I'm in the studio, and I go over here and I'm playing some guitar, and I'm like, this is really dope. And then I go over here and I'm like writing some top line to it, and I'm like, this is also really dope. And then I go over here and I sit on the couch and I listen to him do like sing like what I wrote and over what I played, and I'm like, this is not dope. You know what I mean? So
he's basically taking what you did and butchered it.
Right. And all in all, man, I was just like, this ain't me, bro. Like, this ain't me. 'Cause I know what I'm worth. You know what I'm saying? it's a mixture of that, and then like another time, like I was in a co-write, because I used to do co-writes all the time. Like I love writing for people. I won't lie, I do enjoy writing for people, but not in instances like what I just explained. So I go into this co-write, and it's like for a sync or something, and they're like, "Yeah, we want it to sound like XYZ Lizzo. Go make a Lizzo song." I'm like,
I've been in those sessions.
like Lizzo type song. I'm like, what is a Lizzo type song? What the fuck do you mean? Like, oh man.
But I've seen it happen, dude. Like I've been in like some of these sessions where like the A&R will just pull up the top popular songs. They'll be like, take a little bit from this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Boom, here's your new song. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a very, you know, I mean, these labels need to manufacture songs. You know what I mean? So that's like what they're in the business of. But you lose that kind of genuine, authentic feeling when you do, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like, you know, I don't want to sound pretentious. You know, I understand that it's a business and that there are certain formulas and certain things that you need to follow in order to generate revenue, and like, you know, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. It was just at the time where I was at, it was just very eye-opening, and it brought me to the realization that I needed to do more for myself as an artist, because I feel like this is kind of where like it goes to die. Yeah. You know what I mean? This isn't where it's going to flourish. I didn't feel as though I was flourishing. I felt like it was just dwindling.
And I think something about you is that your records that you create are very personal to you and your story. That you know, one thing I know that you're very outspoken about is your recovery. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know, why, like you've been sober for 10 years now?
It'll be 11 in December.
That's awesome,
Long
dude.
fucking time, man.
What made you, you know, make that choice? Like, did you have an epiphany, like, or a bottom moment where you're like, I just need to change things up?
I mean, I didn't really have a choice, bro. I was gonna die. I was well on my way to dying. The last person I used with is dead. You know what I mean? A lot of people that I used with are dead, or they're in jail, or they're home. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily like I made the choice to. It was sort of either I was gonna die or I was gonna make one last shot, you know. I was backed into a corner completely. You know, I was looking at 2.5 years in jail. Fentanyl was just coming around, so like when I was using, it was feeling different, you know. I could definitely tell that it was getting stronger because my whole body was on fire when I would use, and it was scary, you know.
And you were really young too.
Super young. Like there have been times where I would get high and I'd wake up several hours later in the same position with the thing still in my arm. You know what I mean? And I couldn't walk. It got really scary, man. It got really scary really fast. And I was presented with an opportunity to go and get help, and I had done this over and over again. I had been to so many detoxes, so many places over and over and over and over again. And I was just tired, you know? I was tired, and I ran out of hustle, and I ran out of ways to make money because, you know, I kept getting arrested. I sucked at being a criminal. I'm not a good criminal. I did not think that I would stay clean, though. I'll tell you that. I had no intentions on staying clean. I had just intended on going to rehab because it was a scholarship. Like, you know how they give scholarships to colleges and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I had been given a scholarship to a treatment center. Same thing, where it was covered by, you know, a foundation. You know Chris Herron?
I do know Chris Herron.
Yeah, that man saved my life.
That's insane, dude.
Chris Herron Foundation saved my life, man.
That's crazy, dude.
They accosted me a scholarship. They had called, long story short, they called my mother at like 9 o'clock at night on the house phone saying that I got accepted for a scholarship. And when they called, I was in the other room trying to commit suicide. So it was like serendipity right at that moment in time, you know? She screamed into the bathroom that I had been accepted for a scholarship literally while I was like hanging from a belt. So the whole trajectory of my life changed from that very moment.
Yeah, and I think when you share things like this too, you'd be surprised at like how many people relate to it. You know, what would you have to say for someone who might be like in a dark place now, or you know, going through addiction or whatever struggle they're going through in their life?
I wouldn't say shit. I just listen. I feel like that's the biggest thing is everybody wants to say something. Everybody wants to say something to the addict, or say something to the person that's struggling with mental health, or you know, having suicidal ideations, or they've, you know, made attempts to commit suicide. Everyone wants to say something to them. Nobody wants to just shut the fuck up and hear what they have to say. That's the fatal flaw. That is like the #1 fatal flaw, because 9 times out of 10, half of it is not feeling heard. I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel like I had any power whatsoever when I was in that position.
And you feel like when you got the scholarship, that was kind of a moment of being heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt seen. Because I was the 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid in and out of jails, in and out of mental hospitals, in and out of detoxes, and I couldn't figure my shit out. And, you know, word got around that there was this young kid that could not stop using, and he didn't have the ways and means to actually get further care. So they sent the call in, I got the further care. That being said, I was just gonna use it as like a little vacation, maybe eat a little bit, maybe find a girlfriend that was on food stamps or had Social Security, and then get out of there with said girlfriend and go right back to it. But, you know,
you didn't.
A week turned to a month, turned to 2, 3, 6 months, a year. Now it's over a decade. It's not even a thought in my mind anymore.
And that's a beautiful thing, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you know what? One thing that I know too about you, just from listening to interviews and stuff, is that your mom's always been very supportive of you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I heard that, you know, when you had a show in the Boston area, that she's singing along all the words, crying along too.
Yeah. Oh, she is at every show she can be at. Every single one for the most part.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, you know, way the fuck out there.
Yeah. Was she a big like musical influence growing up?
Surprisingly, no.
So where does that come from?
She has shit taste in music. Bro, it's the trippiest thing ever, because like, I remember I was looking at her phone because I wanted to see like what her playlist was. It's so weird. All it is it's me and T-Pain. Nothing else.
I think that's good taste.
Nothing else. Nothing else, bro. It's just me and T-Pain. Like, in not deep cut T-Pain, it's just like bartender T-Pain.
I was like, bartender
fucking, I'm like, what the fuck?
Low with Flow Rider.
Yes, literally. I'm like, this is so strange. But
so where does your musical background come from, dude?
my dad.
Okay.
My father put me on everything. He taught me everything I know about music. Nobody in my family was musically inclined. I mean, my father was a writer and my mom wrote poetry. So I guess that kind of, you know, translated. However, my dad was a very big purveyor, I guess you could say, of music, the creation of music, how it's written. He really went in depth to explain those things to me. So growing up, he'd show me a song and he'd be like, oh, this part of the song means this, or, you know, he's writing about this, and really break it down. It was cool, man. And it opened my eyes to like, oh, this is a great way to like express yourself. And then I was like, oh, XYZ is a fantastic writer, and this breakdown right here is great, and like the instruments here. You remember those like music choice things?
Yeah.
So I would go and I'd see him on the weekends, every other weekend, and he would give me the music choice catalog. So he would buy a CD that he wanted, and you know how it was like buy one get 5 free, like
yeah,
like penny catalog shit. So he would let me pick like whatever CDs I wanted.
Oh, that's really awesome.
And I didn't know shit. I just went off the coolest cover art, which in turn left me with some of the dopest albums of all time. You know what I mean?
Do
Like,
you remember some of the ones you picked out?
fuck yeah, dude. I had Rage Against the Machine, Bulls on Parade. I had NWA, Straight Outta Compton.
Classic, dude.
The Chronic, Dr.
Insane.
Dre. Busta Rhymes' Greatest Hits pre-2005. So, like, the crazy, like, woo-ha, I got you all in check. Like, real throwback stuff on there. I was just exposed to so much music through that. He used to have a tower of CDs, and I would just spend hours dissecting it, everything from Ben Folds to Soundgarden to Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, Marvin Gaye, the Supremes, the Temptations, all the Motown stuff, Stevie Wonder, and then, of course, like, you know, the Eminems, and then I would steal Wu-Tang CDs from my stepbrothers and all this stuff. I was introduced to so much music at such a young age. And then by the time the technological revolution came around and I had access to the internet, I just dug even deeper and deeper. And, you know, I've always thought of myself as a sponge when it came to that kind of shit. So, yeah, it was definitely my dad that introduced me to music, like really falling in love with music.
Yeah, and it's very eclectic too, because you're naming genres all across the board.
For sure.
Do you remember like which album or like a song that like really was influential for you that you're maybe even like started to inspire like, yo, maybe I could do this?
A couple. I mean, shit. Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. Get Rich or Die Trying did something in my brain.
Dude, it's a classic. Dude, I'm seeing 50 Cent on Friday, dude.
Yeah, Lucky. He's the fucking GOAT. It's a mixture. It's a mixture, really, because a lot of albums made me feel certain ways. I'd say like the big ones for me, Ben Folds' live album, Random as fuck. It's so sick, though. It's just him and a piano, and you can hear the crowd in the background and, like, how he interacts with the crowd and how, you know, it's so cool. Ben Folds live. Get Rich or Die Trying, Massacre 2. Lloyd Banks' Hunger for More was so tight, too. Like, such a slept-on album. Nirvana Unplugged. Nirvana Unplugged was really good too. Songs in the Key of Life. That's like my jam. What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. That's also like one of my favorites. But this is all like when I was a kid.
And it's really cool to hear like how deep your love for music is. You know what I mean? Because there are a lot of artists that probably want to get into music, but like you got to have that. If you don't have the love for music, there's just no way you can do it. Because it's like, the money's not going to be there right away. You know what I mean? Money's hard. It's hard to figure out that process. But once you figure it out, like, you can kind of figure out what works for you, you know? But you got to do this off the love.
No. I mean, there's no money in art, and there's no art in money. You know what I mean? You got to, that's it.
You got to have that hustler mentality, dude.
No, that's yeah. So like, I guess the deep love of it came first, and then afterwards I was like, all right, let me try this out. Let me try and express myself through it.
Is there something that changed for you once you started to take this more as like a profession? That like, you know, when things start out fun, and then you like add the business side into it, you're just like, oh man, like.
I mean, originally, like, when I started making music when I was a kid, I honestly did it because I would see these celebrities and I'd see these like rock stars, and they'd have like big posses with them and stuff. And I felt like if I did it, I'd never be alone again, which is fucking bullshit. But it was the realization of that was part of like when it all kind of shifted.
Sometimes it's the opposite though too. Like, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but like, you know, when you chase this dream of music, you kind of end up alienating yourself because there's so many people that don't understand. I feel that personally. You know, I've lost a lot of friends just because like our interests don't align anymore.
Right. No, exactly. You definitely isolate yourself as a result of the work that goes into it. But I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, I was just asking you about like the business of music too, and like you know, what's something that like kind of changed when you started focusing more on the business of it?
I got jaded. Once the business came into this whole thing, I definitely got jaded because people want to take advantage of artists because they know that it's so easy to take advantage of somebody that's so invested in something that they love. It's a creative thing.
Yeah.
I'm so tied to this. My heart is tied to it. So if you're going to tell me that you're going to help me with something that I'm so in love with, you know, it's so easy to manipulate. So once the business came into play, it was very easy to get jaded at first, but now I'm all nice and jaded and calloused and
was there an instance,
used to it.
Was there an instance that you'd be willing to talk about that like kind of had you to start feeling this way?
That's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that.
Because the thing is, I've been in the industry long enough to know. Listen, I have a couple jaded stories.
I've actually seen one of yours.
Okay,
at length.
Okay, wait, which one are you talking about? Because I think it's the one I know that you're talking about. Does it involve Token?
No.
Okay, there's one that me and Token have a mutual one.
Yes.
Yes.
That fucking guy. He's insane, right?
He's insane,
yes.
dude.
Okay, yeah.
I want to have Token on the pod just so we could talk about that because we didn't know each other. Like, I'll tell it really quick because I want to focus on Justin Clancy.
Right. No, you have to.
But real quick, like, so me and Token worked with the same quote-unquote manager, and when we'd go sleep at his crib, and we basically were like, if I wasn't there, Token was there, and if Token was there, like, you know what I mean? We'd flip-flop from this manager, and he was a shady character, and like...
He's in New York, right?
I don't know. I haven't kept tabs.
So crazy, yes.
It's really a crazy story,
I remember this, bro. This is crazy.
Yeah, I gotta have Token on to talk because I want to have this moment with him because like I saw him at Toad's place because he was there for Web. And
you guys were talking about it.
We talked about it briefly.
Yeah,
I was like, "Yo, Token, like we've met before, like we've known each other like briefly through mutuals." But I was like, "Yeah, we don't." I was like, "You don't really know me, but like we've met, and we have like the most insane mutual." And I named that person, and he was like, "No, we don't." I was like, "Yeah, we do, dude." So I mean, that story will make it to the front. But yeah, I remember that. But
I have one.
We all have one, dude.
I have one. I just thought about it. Man, okay, so I thought everybody was cool. Like, I thought if you're an artist, like, you're cool. You know what I mean? And I remember it was like 2014, 15. And I think I paid like $300 to open up for Cage in Boston. You know Cage?
Yeah.
Cage Kennels?
Yeah, somebody recently had, I think someone else, I do know them. I don't want to misquote something here, so I'm not going to say it. But I think I had a recent podcast guest who also had a story with Cage. I think it was Echo, but I don't remember the story.
Oh, I bet. He probably does. I was a big fan of him growing up. I was a big Cage guy. So the opportunity presented itself to open up for him at the Middle East upstairs. And I was like, oh, this is great, right? And I get there, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I perform my, 15-minute set or whatever for, an empty fucking room. And afterwards, I watched Cage's set. I sang along. It was a whole thing. I was very stoked. And I went up to him, and I was like, hey, man, I just wanted to introduce myself. I just opened up for you. I was like, I've been a fan of yours since I was 12. And he looks at me and he goes, what are you, 12 and a half? Ha, 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 ha. like insinuating that I was still a fucking
your villain origin story, dude.
Right, but this was in front of like, because it was me and like a bunch of his fans around him, and then they all started laughing at me, and I was just like,
guys.
and I still ate it, and I was like, all right. I was like, yo, if you could check out my mixtape, I really appreciate it. And I handed him the CD, and he was like, yeah, for sure. He was like, I'm gonna check this out, and if I like it, maybe if you're lucky, I'll sign you to Roadside Records. And I'm like, whoa, that's so sick. Roadside Records, what is that, right? So I didn't find out what Roadside Records was until way later. It was on Warped Tour that I learned what Roadside Records was. And Roadside Records is when you get handed a CD and you're on tour, you fucking throw it out the window.
Yo, Cage, if you ever hear this.
It was fucked up, man.
That's not cool, dude.
Hurt my feelings, bro.
Yeah.
I never forgot it. But, like, there's just so many various interactions. And maybe he was having a shitty day. I'm like, whatever. But that's when I started being like, okay, this industry is a little different than I thought. I mean, also, never mind the fact that I just paid $300 fucking to play for 15 minutes for this guy.
It's dog eat dog, dude.
There were so many various things, and much larger scale things that I legally can't even fucking talk about. You know what I mean?
Bro, I mean, that's if you're getting into the music industry, like, be prepared to, people take advantage, eat shit.
Super.
A lot of failures, but
unbelievable failures.
Take them as lessons. You have to, otherwise you're going to go insane.
Mm-hmm.
What's like a struggle or a failure that you had to like overcome?
I mean, it ebbs and flows. When you're an artist, some days you're up, other days you're down. That's just how it is. And it's really hard to accept that sometimes. It really affects my mental health. Some days I feel on top of the fucking world. Other days I feel like everything is futile, nothing has materialized, I am a fucking loser, and I'm a piece of shit. And it doesn't matter how big you get, because I know super famous people that feel the same exact way every single day. It is not for the faint of heart. That's just what it is. I don't make the rules, man. That's just how it pans out. I've done shows where I've headlined and there's been 500 plus people there, and I walk out with a pocket full of money. Everyone's talking about it. There's newspaper articles written about it. And then there have been times where I've headlined after, and there's only been like 125 people. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I fucking fell off. I'm nothing, but it still grows. Metrically, it still grows every single day.
It's a roller coaster, dude. And I think you nailed it right on the head, because even today, dude, get it, like, I was taking L after L after L after L today, dude. I don't think I could, even like down to like the printer jamming for the questions for this podcast. I was like, all right, Day, come on.
Yeah.
Let's just get these questions out so we can get, but it's just like, sometimes it's out of your control. But there was a moment where I called you even before this, and I was like,
gave up, man.
I was like,
out.
I almost tapped out. I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm,
because
I got to one more like dead end of like a tree falling down. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Keep him, like, at that point, I'd been on the road for like an hour, and I'm still minutes away from my house, dude. Like, so I don't know. I think there's something about just being persistent. And I think now that we're here and I got through that, I'm happy that we're here.
Yeah, for sure. We did it.
But the process, dude, the process of getting here, and this is just my analogy, sometimes in life, it's going to take a little bit of a journey to get to where you want to be. And there are going to be some roadblocks, but eventually you will get the Justin Clancy podcast.
Oh, yes. You did it. You got it. I'm here.
Yeah, dude.
I'm here for you.
If there was something you wanted to say to an artist that's on the come up now, what would you tell them?
If you quit, you're a fucking bitch.
I respect that.
If you quit, you were never meant to be here in the fucking first place.
I might just use that little soundbite as just the entire trailer, dude, because bro, I mean, listen.
You should.
It's the truth, dog.
It's like, so funny because I said, I guess like this was, so I met this kid on tour in Canada, right? And he was He was a musician, and he was like, man, it's like, I'm trying to like come up. Like, mind you, it's wild that people ask me for advice when they're trying to come up, because I ain't shit in the grand scheme of things. I'm not famous by any means, you know what I mean? I'm trying to do my damn thing myself. So he was like, Justin, what should I do? Like, what's a piece of advice for me? And I'm like, well, if you quit, you're a fucking bitch. And he was like, whoa. And then like a couple months later, I'm with my friend Sam Buck. You know.
Yeah, of course. I watched his podcast prepping for this podcast.
Yeah. So I'm hanging out with him, and he was like, yo, it's so funny. I just did an interview with this Canadian artist, and I asked him what one of the one of the best pieces of advice he's ever gotten were. And he said, one time I met Justin Clancy, and he told me that if I quit, I'm a bitch.
Bro, I love it, though.
I was like, wow, the ripple effect. But I say it because I need to hear it, too.
Yeah.
You can't give up on your dreams. The second that you give up and you cash in on your dreams, you let that little light inside your eyes fucking die and you sell out, that is the same exact moment that you die a little bit. I'm way too tied into this shit to give up or stop or slow down. It is literally a part of me. And I've already had so many parts of me die throughout my life, through the trials and the tribulations. I'll be damned if like the biggest piece of me goes too. Fuck that, man. Fuck that.
Bro, I got goosebumps, and that also made me sad because I know a lot of people that have given up, dude.
Yeah, me too.
It's tough,
Me
dude.
too.
I hate to see them go, you know? And like,
it's not even that. It's not even music, but just like their dreams, you know? I grew up with so many people. I'm sure you did. I'm sure everybody else that might be watching this, I'm sure they did too, where they know those people, and growing up, they had the light in their eyes. They had that twinkle, that sparkle, and then somewhere along the way, it just got doled out, and they settled.
Dude, I have a line in a song coming up that kind of embodies that whole thing. I wrote down, all my friends had dreams, now it's just me. Mm-hmm. And that's like how I feel, dude, because everyone I came up with, like, I feel like I'm like the last man.
It's so real.
Last man standing out here.
It's so real. Well, because it's like, bro, if you're not dreaming, what's the fucking point? What's the point of it all?
It's a life I couldn't live.
What the fuck is the point of it all, dude? I don't want to settle for it. Just like I haven't come this far to just come this far. You know? Why the fuck would I just want to settle for XYZ? I can't. I physically cannot. You give me one small thing, I'm going to try and figure out a whole entire universe around that one thing, rather than just like taking the one thing. Like, I got the opportunity, I'm going to be starting my own coffee company.
Well, let's go, dude.
Yeah.
I love coffee.
Me too. So I got this opportunity to, at first they were like, hey, do you want to like, maybe like brand it and like create one coffee thing and, you know, sell it on like a subscription basis. And just me being me, I'm like, no, like, how do I build a fucking universe around this shit? So now I'm like meeting with developers, and like, I'm gonna like, you know, in the next 5 years, I want to roll out a whole entire franchise of like sober bars with like espresso flights and like open mics there and shit like that. You know, like just really trying to push the shit, like push everything in my life as far as it possibly can go. I might not be best for my mental health, but really at the end of the day, who am I if I'm just like, if I just this one little thing and then just accept it as that.
And dude, I love the idea of like a sober bar. I'm somebody who doesn't drink either, dude.
Yeah.
And I find myself never going out because I'm the only sober one there. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that vibe, I feel like just needs to be pushed a little bit more in society too.
I agree. I mean, a lot of like less and less young people are drinking now.
That's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's not even a thing. I mean, granted, everybody smokes weed, but I feel like the people are starting to realize that drinking just fucking sucks. The means don't justify the ends when it comes to alcohol. It just doesn't. It's absolute poison. And I want to create like a safe space, a place where people can go to just kind of like get away and hang out and like meet up, maybe do like an open mic or have like a work meeting in a really cool environment, you know, like that's like the dream I see. Like that's part of like the vision.
Yeah.
You know, having a really dope place.
Justin, I want to start taking this to the end zone. I want to ask you what your biggest moment of success so far has been, or at least you feel has been.
That's a really good question. Biggest moment of success. I mean, there's a couple. There's really a lot. But
kind of like chapter markers I always hear when I ask the question.
I have a hard time answering that because I feel as though success is such a spectrum and it's so subjective at the same time. Like your definition of success and my definition of success are probably two wildly different things. I don't measure success by the numbers. I don't measure success by how big the shows might be or how well something was received. I measure success by just being alive. You know, like each day I'm more successful than the last one just because I'm still here. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
The only way that I'll fail is if I stop. So every single day I become more and more successful just by being here.
What keeps you going, dude?
Red Bull and coffee and cigarettes. Spite.
But yeah, dude, like if you had, what's your message to the world, Justin?
Fuck you.
That'd be crazy, dude.
Nah. I don't know, man. I feel like people should listen to the world's message for them. You know what I'm saying? I don't really have a message for the world because at the end of the day, I just listen to its message for me. And that's it.
No, I think that's a good thing too. You're just saying like listen to your intuition and just kind of follow what feels right.
Yeah, and just keep going with whatever it is, man. Like just don't let like the little light inside of you die. Don't let the kid inside of you die either. I'm like the biggest little kid that you'll ever meet. Like I'm still like a kid up here. And a lot of people will take that as a weakness, but that's not a weakness at all. It's important to still have that. Otherwise you lose the spark, you lose the go ahead. That's why I look so young for my age. You know?
A question I kind of want to ask you to like kind of bring to the end zone off what you just said is like, you know, what have you done like if you saw a friend of yours like see someone else that you care about's light inside of them die?
What have I done?
Yeah, like if you had a friend or somebody who like, you know, was chasing their dream and you see it like dwindling away, like is there anything you can do for them, you think?
I mean, I can't do anything for anyone who's letting the dream die. I can only tell them so much, but at the end of the day, you got to do it for yourself. I cannot motivate somebody to do anything. You know, at the end of the day, they take the information, they do what they will with it. And at the same time, everybody in my camp is full of dreamers. Everybody in my camp still has that light in their eyes. That shit doesn't die. I made sure. I have a very small circle of homies. A very, 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 I have like this right here, small circle, then there's like the outer circle, and then there's like, you know what I mean?
Got your own Clancy universe out there.
Clancy. The
Clancy-verse,
dude. Webby calls it the Clancy-verse, but like the main core, my main core, the light doesn't die in their eyes.
Yeah. And I think those are the people that you got to hang around too, because I think those are the people that are going to push you to be better and like get to those next levels.
I mean, listen, I'll end it with this, right? Like, unless you want to keep going.
No, we'll pull it to the end because we'll pull it to the end.
But then I won't end it with this, but I will add this. I've watched the light inside my mother's eyes die. I've watched the light inside my father's eyes die. They had dreams. They had aspirations. They had things that they wanted to pursue that they were excited about. My father, up until the day he died, wanted to do 20 million things and started all of these ideas. He wanted to write a book. He wanted to start a fly fishing company. He wanted to start a roofing company or a contracting company. He wanted to do all these things. And he'd start and then fucking stop. Same thing with my mother. She wanted to, you know, write like a children's book. She wanted to write poetry. She wanted to do XYZ, start X, Y, and Z business. And she'd start and then stop. So growing up and seeing firsthand what it looked like when the light goes out, I made a promise to myself that if not for me, for them, that I would keep stoking that fire, because I'll be damned if I go out. Because I watched my father pass away with these dreams, and he never got to live out not one damn one of them. And I'll be damned if I'm on my deathbed saying shoulda, coulda, woulda, fuck that. Ain't no motherfucking way I'm doing that.
Yeah, finished is always better than perfect. I always say that, and that helps me push through, even if things aren't going according to plan.
Exactly.
Justin, what's something that you learned from your father?
Resilience. I watched him pivot 20 million different times. My father was a very resilient guy. You know, he had to start over a lot of times. He was also an addict. And growing up, you know, I watched him. He went to prison for a while, and like I watched him get out and like figure out his life, and then all that came crashing down, and then he had to figure it out again, build it back up, and like it's just this. It was just this consistent flow of like everything burning down and then building another city again. And I think resilience and like staying power. And as long as I'm here, I can do something about it. As long as I'm standing on my own 2 feet, I have this right here and I have this right here, I can change the world however I want it to be changed. As long as I have all of those things. So he taught me a lot of resilience. He taught me a shit ton about music too. And he taught me a lot about dealing with people.
What's something that you learned about people?
Really? I mean, it's like, so before he passed away, he wrote me this letter, right? He wrote me and like all of his kids, and like, you know, he wrote us all letters. And I don't know what it said in theirs, but in mine, he gave me a list of things to follow. And these were all things that he had taught me before, but it's just reinforcing it. But like a lot of it is like remembering names and like shaking hands. Like make sure you have a good handshake, and like you always make eye contact when you shake hands. You always listen to your gut, and you always like pay close attention to emotion in people's voice. You know, just like things like that, and how to deal with people. Like when I was a kid, he used to like always talk to strangers in line. He would just talk to anybody, right? And he could have a conversation with fucking anyone. And I guess I kind of learned how to do that, because now as an adult, I find myself talking to strangers in line. I love talking to I just yap.
It's a hard skill too, because, you know, and especially being in the career that you're in, it's like you need to be able to be outspoken and like not be nervous Nelly. It's social is really most of the game. Like if you can't network and talk to people, like you're done from the start.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So Justin, before you get out of here, I want to ask you what's next for you, and then we'll take you to the end zone.
All right. I mean, what's next is I'm working on releasing my album. I don't know when you're gonna air this, but I'm
Sunday.
Oh, sick! Yeah,
yeah.
Like this Sunday.
This Sunday.
Oh, fuck yeah! Good, man. Get that fresh content.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got to keep it in the moment, otherwise it gets stale too fast.
Yeah. So I'm working on this album that I'm probably gonna have out before the end of the year, and I'm directing and filming a short film that's gonna accompany the album, and the album is called No Blondes in Heaven.
Woo.
So I'm really excited about it, man.
And Justin, if people want to find you or connect with you, how can they?
Just Google Justin Clancy. I feel so corny for now.
No, you got to do it. You got to do it. Like I'm putting you on the spot to do it. It's okay.
You can find me at Justin_Clancy everywhere.
Let's go, dude.
Easy. Okay. That was easier.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm just happy that this podcast happened. This was the first podcast that almost didn't happen.
Almost. Yep.
And honestly, I like wouldn't take defeat today. I also want to go on the record that this is the only podcast I've done with one contact in.
You did great.
Thank you, dude. Which one? Guess.
Left.
My left or your left?
Your left.
My left. Yeah.
Ooh.
We end on that note.
Wow.
Let's go, dude.
Tight.